Hi everybody. So now we'll be starting our session for Java programming with arrays. So, as of now, you have been working with variables that hold one value. So, the integer variable you have set up have held only one number and the string variable just one long string of text. Okay. We still have to deal with strings though, but string variables normally hold, some text value. So an array is a way to hold more than one value at a time. It is like a list of items. Now think of an array as a column in the spreadsheet. So you can have a spreadsheet with only one column, or let's say many columns. Now with arrays, so basically, the only difference between setting up a normal integer variable and an array is a pair of square brackets after the data type. Okay, so the square brackets are enough to tell Java that you have or you want to set up an array. The name of this array is arynums. Okay, just like any other normal variable name could be. So basically, just like the normal variables, you can call them almost, any thing you would want to. But this just tells Java, this particular line of code would tell Java that you want to set up an integer array. It does not say how many positions the array should hold or something more than that. So for that, you'll have to write. So this will basically you'll have to this particular write this particular line of code. So you'll have to set up a new array object. Okay, so you can create an array by using a new operator. Basically we are writing the new operator. So the you can also do this in now this particular line of code tells me that a new object, an array has been created and there's 6 places for that array. Now I can, if I write this, this statement is doing two things. It creates an array using the new data type and array size. Okay. So it assigns also the reference of the newly created array to this particular, that is to the variable, that is arynums. Okay, so you can put both of these lines together also, and you can write like int ms equal to new int 6. Okay, so this is how. So we are telling Java to set up an array with 6 positions in it. After this line is executed, Java will assign default values for the array. Now because we have to set up an integer array, the default values for all 6 positions will be 0. Okay, so basically, as I told you, that array now is a list of elements. So we've already discussed that, once we have given this array, array has a fixed name, type and length. So once we've given the length of the array, it cannot be changed. So I want you to see this. I have, this particular way in which I have already explained to you. How do we give this, how do we give or tell Java that we want to create an array giving the number of these spaces. Now the indexing starts from 0. So basically what happens is that, array takes the length. If the length of the array is 10, then the first index would be 0 and it would go from 0 to 9. So if I say I want to insert the value into num at, let's say 9th position, then it would mean that it has to be put into index 8 because it is from 0 till 9. So at 9th position it would be index 8. Okay, so when we talk about array, now there is also another way. There's also a method of setting up an array using the curly brackets after the equal sign. So this was one way. Well, we have to take, might be the input can be taken, or it can be, the values can be given later. There is another way of setting up an array that uses the curly brackets after the equal sign. So in between the curly brackets, you type out the values that the array would hold. The first value will be at the position 0. As I told you, it starts from the 0 index. The second at position 1, and so on. Okay, so I want you to be very sure that you still have to write uh, the square brackets. Okay, so we have 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, so basically this is the way we give the values within the curly brackets. Okay, so now we're coming on to the advantage of array. Now, talking about advantages of array, it is used to represent multiple data items of the same type by using only single name. It can be used to implement other data structures like linked list, stacks, queues, trees, and graphs. Now, 2D array are used to represent matrices. Okay, and it is capable of storing many elements at a time. Array also allows random accessing of the elements. That is, any element of the array can be randomly accessed using indexes. Further, code optimization is also present. That is, it makes the code optimized and we can retrieve the data easily. Then we have the disadvantage of array. Now, when we talk about the disadvantage of array, the first one is predetermining the size of the array is must. Okay, so the size limit. So we can store only fixed size of elements in the array. It does not grow its size at runtime. Okay, then there is a chance of memory wastage or shortage. Then again, to delete an element in an array, we need to traverse throughout the array, and these are the other disadvantages. But the size limit remains the major one of them. Okay. So this is about Java array. Now I'll be moving on. Now we have the two different types of array. Okay, so we have the single dimension array and the multi-dimension array. So in the single dimension array, there is, we've already discussed. I'll just take this once again. How do we declare an array? So in single dimension, how we declare an array? To declare the array, we have to write the type, the variable name, and the square brackets, and then we have to allocate the space for these elements. They can be put in one line also, like okay. So this statement will create an integer of array with 8 elements and can be accessed by ARY. Now we have the multi-dimension array. The most basic multi-dimension array is made up of 2 dimensions. It is referred to as 2-dimensional. To create a 2-dimensional array, inside one of the pair of square brackets, use 2 pair of square brackets. So it would be like the data type, 2 pair of square brackets. Then we have the variable name. Although the pair of brackets are empty, they will contain some numbers. So these, there are various ways you can use to initialize the 2-dimension array. So basically, you can give the data type, okay, and the variable name, and then again, and we give like. So this is the way. In Java, you can place the square brackets on the right hand side of the variable name, also the right hand side of the variable name. Okay, so this is how we give the you can say declare a multi-dimensional array. So in our declaration, the member variables contain the 2 lists. So each of the 2, let's say here we have we have 6 elements okay, which are contained in basically there are six elements which are contained in four, let's say, the you can say that there are four lists and six elements are present in each of the four lists. Okay, so as in six elements present in the first list, then six elements in the second, and so on in the third and the fourth. So there would be 4 into six, that would be 24 elements. Okay, so we'll take an example for them. So first we'll take the simple array. So I have made a class that is array, and I have the public static void main. I have a list. As you can see, this is a double, the data type is double here. I have declared it to be an array, that is my list, which is I'm giving the values here. Now I have a loop, that is, it is going through I is equal to 0, list dot length plus plus. So it will print all the result, that is my list I. Then if I have double total is equal to 0, so it goes from 0 to 0 to list dot length, that is a number less than list dot length, and it will total all the result and would store it into total, which earlier has been defined as 0. Okay, so what will happen? Now this is for taking the total. Now we also might would want to find the maximum. So I earlier said, the double max is equal to minus 0, that is the first element. Now this particular first element is made to go through all the list and check that whether 1.9 is greater than 2.9. Yes, no, it is not. So the next maximum at this point of time would be 2.9. The next would be 3.4, and in the end we'll get the maximum as 3.5. So the maximum result has been printed as max here. So we'll just run this program. So you can see the program, this becomes so easy when we are dealing with arrays, which would have been really difficult and would consume more space if we would have been dealing with simple variables. Now there is another example of multi-dimension array. So this is how we declare a multi-dimension array. I give int 2d, and I basically give, there are 5 elements present in the first list, second, third, and fourth. So there will be 20 values in total. So I'll be calculating this value. So you can see I make the loops run here. So I have this. I'll just show it. So you can see I have 20 values going from 0 to 19. It is taking the value from 0 to 19. It is adding plus plus, that is from k is set to 0 in the beginning, and then it goes from 0 to all the values in the end. Okay, so all of them are printed with the help of or using the multi-dimension array. I hope that will be fine. So as you can see, you can also change the number to, if I change the number to, let's say, 0. So what will happen? Let's say though it won't make any difference, but if why? Because it is saying that it is it is a pre-increment, but the result I'm printing out is later. It is later printed. So that is why it puts, let's say, so the result has been pre-incremented and then it is put to 2dij. That is why it has been now changed to 1 to 20. So it is basically using the multi-dimensional array to print all these values from 1 to 20. Okay. So this is about it. Now we've already seen the syntax to declare an array in Java and then how to instantiate that array in Java. So now I'll move on with single dimensional array. So as you can see in this also, I have made a single dimension array of a type int. Okay, and which is taking 5 places. Now this is a declaration and instantiation which has done in one single line. Now initialization is being done, that is from indexing starting from 0 to 4. Okay, so there will be 5 values from 0 to 4, and then it says that it goes from 0 to a dot less than a dot length, and then it would print out the result. Okay, so I hope that will be fine. Now, the next is passing an array. Now, this concept is very interesting. Now, when we talk about passing an array, so array are objects, but nothing in Java is passed as a reference. So all the parameters are basically passed by value. In case of an object, what gets passed is a reference uh, to the object. That is, let's say, a pointer. That is also by value. So passing a reference by value is not same as passing by reference. Okay. So in case of array, the array reference is passed by value. So when you pass an array to the other method, actually the reference of the array is copied. So any changes in the content of the array, though through that reference will affect the original array, but changing the reference to the point to the array will not change the existing reference in the original method. So we'll take an example for this. So you can see I have the main function. I'm making the object of this particular class. I call ob.a. So this is basically making an array which is initialized from 1 to 7. It is taking, the this is particular, we have already, initialized the values from 0 to 6. So now it is calling the function and passing the array. Okay, so when it passes the array, it is received, this function is receiving that array, this is the way to receive that array. So it says that we have b dot length. So I want you to see. Okay, so it says that going from 0 to E, then all the result would be printed for BF. Okay, so when we run this program, you can see it gives me the array length to be 7. Okay, that is from 0, the indexing starting from 0, moving on to 6 and giving me the result. Okay, so this is about it. That is passing the array in Java. Now, taking the example of a multi-dimensional array. Now, I'll take an example of multi-dimensional array, though I've already shown it to you, that how do we deal with, result from 1 to 20. So this is the example for multi-dimensional array. So we've already seen how to declare and how to give syntax to declare a multi-dimensional array, and how it can also be instantiated. Okay, so declaring and initializing. There is also another way for you can say to give the declaring or initializing. Basically, initializing the multi-dimensional array, it could be done by giving a curly braces, and then further curly braces within for describing the first list, the second list, and the third list. Okay, and then further working with this array. So this is about the multi-dimensional array. So now moving on, I'll explain the jagged array. Okay, so the jagged array, the concept of jagged array is very interesting. Now, this is a new feature supported by Java in jagged array. Each row in the two-dimensional array may contain different lengths. So maybe we're trying to design a two-dimensional array with 4 rows. Where the first row contained the 4 elements, the second row with 1 element, the third row with 2 elements, and the fourth row with the third element with 3 elements. So it is a kind of a multi-dimensional array structure whose elements consist of one-dimensional array. It is an array of array, and this kind of array is called jagged because the elemental arrays can be of the different sizes. Okay, so how do we give this? You can see we have an array 2D, and we further give the new int 4. So it basically will have 4 rows, but we do not define how many elements would be present in each of the rows, because it may vary from one particular row to other. So as you can see, it gives me 0. The 0th row will have one single element, the first row having two elements, the second row having three elements, and the fourth row will have the four elements. Okay, so similarly, I work with this. So you can see it gives me the result as we have the four rows, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first row having 0, second 1 and 2. So according to the code, you can see it is incrementing the value of k and putting this value into. It is putting the value of k initially and putting it into 2dij and then incrementing the value. So this is how we work with jagged array. This is basically arrays of array where the number of elements in a particular list may vary. Okay. So this is about the jagged array. I hope that will be fine.